Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Band of Gamers podcast, episode number 89. I'm your host, Osiris Prime, and tonight we got one other host with us. We have Zeux Adamus. Wave to the camera, Zeus. I think he's working on some stuff right now, but that's all right. So tonight,
I was double muted.
Oh man!
First mute, but there was a second mute. I had a two mute authentication required. What up? What up?
He's extra secure. So tonight, we're going to continue on our publishing E3 talk. I believe this is probably our last one, at least as far as the publishers and developers. Maybe we'll do like a prediction or what we want show next week or the week after, right before the big show. But tonight, what we're going to talk about is Microsoft, the big three actually, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. So we're going to hit those guys hard, see what they have coming, what we know they have coming, maybe see what we want, and we'll see what else happens. And then if we have some time, we'll, of course, get into what we've been playing this past week. I've actually played a few different things, or tried to at least. I've had a little bit of troubles this week. But let's get started here with the big M, Microsoft. So they're going to be doing their news conference Sunday, June 11th at 2 p.m., I believe that is probably Pacific time, I'm assuming. Pacific time. So let's kind of go through and see what we're probably going to see from them that we know of at least. So kind of always like they always do, Forza Motorsport 7 will probably be shown and announced. I think they've even talked about a few things here and there, maybe potentially, or teases. We got, of course, the big hardware reveal, Project Scorpio. We'll see maybe the box price, a release date maybe, or release window potentially, maybe. We have Sea of Thieves. That's been in, I guess, like a closed beta these past few months. I did get invited to it, but unfortunately haven't had any time to play it. I don't know, Zeus, did you have any time to jump on that at all?
No, I was really hoping you had though, because one of my big things that I want to get to happen this week is I want to get into the Dreadnought beta, which I feel like is going to have a similar emotional and relational impact, with the people that you play with, and I really wanted to be able to compare. So you should definitely keep an eye out, see if there's another chance to get into that beta. I didn't even know Sea of Thieves was under beta test.
Yeah, they've been doing. It's kind of weird times. I think that's why I really haven't had a chance to jump in. It's like during the weekend in the afternoon, or even on the weekend, like early in the morning, early afternoon. So it's kind of weird times for a beta, and I don't know if that's because of. I think they're overseas, aren't they?
Yeah, I think it's like a German developer. I'm not sure. We'll have to fact check.
I know it's rare. I'm assuming they're overseas, so I don't think they're here.
Yeah.
So I think that's
maybe it's Norway. I'm not sure. I'll check. Hey, so are you getting? How are you getting that? Are you getting that invite because you're on the Xbox preview ring?
No, they had a page to sign up at, I don't know, a few months ago, maybe even like early last year, where you can try to get into it. So I think right now it's pretty much a closed beta. It's just an invitation. But yeah, actually I know I could do the Xbox One, and I think I could do the PC too if I wanted to. So yeah, maybe I'll try to jump on there these next couple weeks, because I've still been seeing emails pretty much every week almost to jump in there. So I'll have to try to catch that. And yeah, that's much like Dreadnought. That's you got to work on a ship, or with your other cohorts to. I'm not really sure what to do, actually. Battle. I know you can battle and probably find loot and all kinds of stuff. So
right. So it's a little different in that Dreadnought, each of you is commanding a different ship unit, whereas Sea of Thieves, as far as I understand, you're all part of one crew.
Yeah. So we got Sea of Thieves. We have State of Decay 2. That's supposed to be coming out. And then for sure they've pretty much said that was going to be. Well, I don't know if they said it'd be for sure coming out this year, or at least maybe at least be shown. So that's pretty much, I believe, all I had as far as what we know of. Let me see. I don't know if Zeus, if you've seen anything else.
Well, I do want to answer up on that fact check. So, Rare is located in Britain.
Okay,
Get that out.
cool. So out of those, anything that piques your interest? Obviously, besides Scorpio, everyone wants to see that what it is and what it'll be priced. I think is part of the big thing. You're gonna be big on Forza.
Yeah, so I'll be all over Forza. I know, and I definitely had better feelings about Forza Horizon 3. Forza Horizon has been one of those series that when I bought 2, which was the first time that I got it, because I guess 1 came out on the 360.
The Horizons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, so and it came out on the 360 during that 5-year span where I did not own a 360 because I took my money and packed it up and went home after my Red in the 5th year. So I skipped it, and when I bought Forza Horizon 2, I was like, I'm not going to get into the series because I had been exposed to the open world racing game design, with Burnout Paradise and with a few of the Need for Speed games at that point, and I did not like them. But I bought Forza Horizon 2 anyway, and I really enjoyed it. I actually, when you look at my stats and my gameplay time, the amount of time I've spent in Forza Horizon 2 is embarrassingly large, and it comes up like every year when Microsoft sends you your stats. So I appreciated 3 in terms of game design. But at the end of the day, motorsport is what I really love. I've spent probably thousands of hours driving those classic European circuit racing tracks. So Donington, Silverton, Valencia, Barcelona, Imola. What's the other one I'm thinking of? Trying to think of some of the Italian ones. Spa. I don't know how you pronounce the second name. Spa Francorchamps, I think, in Belgium. And of course Nürburgring, and that's just where my home is. Whenever I buy a game, and it features those tracks, it's like putting on like an old pair of socks. Like I just. I immediately recognize them. I immediately remember how those tracks are laid out. So I'm just really looking forward to motorsport. And if motorsport can Turn 10 can incorporate any of the content that what's the other studio that does Horizon? Is that Platinum?
You know what? Let me check. I can't remember right now.
Might be right. It's not. I guess Platinum is the Bayonetta studio, and I guess they did Drive Club. I can't remember. They have some one-word name for their studio, but if they're able to share any of that tech and bring it over to motorsport, and the fact that motorsport is going to be one of the featured games on the Scorpio, I'm definitely going to be all over that.
Nice. It's Playground Games as the developer.
Yes. Another one-word name studio that also begins with P. So hopefully people can understand my momentary confusion.
That's right. So, other than those, I mean, I really didn't see anything else. Gigantic was another one, which is like a MOBA type of game. It's been in beta, I believe, for like the longest time. That was a free-to-play. Well, it's been free-to-play. I don't know. I'm assuming it'll be free-to-play once it actually releases. That's about the only other one I can find as far as games right now. One that won't be shown that they've actually already confirmed was any Halo 6 news or teaser or anything like that. So at least at the conference, that's not going to be at the conference at all. So
now I'm expecting though that there's going to be Halo something, right? Sure, it won't be Halo 6, but it is the flagship exclusive franchise of that console. I have to believe that they're going to announce like an expansion pack or DLC for Halo Wars 2 or something like that.
Yeah, there's been some speculation about a Halo 3 remaster, but I could have sworn I saw a tweet from somebody from Microsoft saying that they were going to do a remaster for Halo 3. Maybe they'll just have it come out for PC. That would be pretty big, I think. They can do like I guess it wouldn't be a remaster, but just kind of a release on there. So that could be something, I suppose. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, unless they like bring out a whole new Halo like side story, like an ODST or something like that, or Reach, which would be cool.
Well,
I was gonna say I love those two games, so that'd be cool.
well, and that's what I was wondering. So what was in the first remaster collection? Was that just 1 and 2?
It was for the what was it, the Master Chief Collection? Is that the one you talk about?
Right, right, right.
Yeah, it was 1 through 4. And
Okay.
I think only 2 was remastered for that collection, just because it was like the 10-year anniversary when that came out. So
Gotcha. Yeah, an ODST and Reach. I really loved the concept of like the squad-based shooter where they were not all Spartans, but I didn't actually play ODST. So yeah, I'd be. Is that even backwards compatible at this point?
I believe it is. I believe, yeah. Yeah, I played it. It was I really loved that story. It was something a little different too, just how they told it. It was kind of like flashbacking the stuff of the guy's team. I can't remember the main character's name right now, but I don't know if I should spoil this, but we may or may not have not have seen him in other Halos 4 or 5. I'll just say it like that, just in case anybody doesn't want to be spoiled. But so yeah, and then obviously Reach. I don't think there can be a Reach 2, since I think we all know how that story ends. Pretty much no one's coming back from that. Well, there was one person actually that survived that, so we'll see. Maybe it'll be his side story. Who knows?
So yeah, that's I guess what I would hope for is something Halo related, and it doesn't have to be Master Chief centric. It can be something else. I would be completely fine with that.
Yeah, and they already stated that 6 is going to be solely on Master Chief. So yeah, they could always do a side story. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the key thing for me is at the end of the day, right? I feel bad for game developers, I guess, for the show because everything is going to be about Scorpio.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I don't know how they balance that. I don't know if Phil Spencer wants to make it not solely about the new hardware platform, since they have kind of tried to diminish or marginalize the significance of this, new hardware deployment. I guess, but at the end of the day, that's more what I'm curious about. It's gonna be interesting to see how they sequence the show. I wonder if they just front load it with Scorpio and say, let's just get this out of the way, right? Let's talk Scorpio. Augment mixed reality headsets that are going to be compatible with it. Mixed reality games that are going to be launching with the Scorpio. New prices and new discount prices for the Xbox One, and new bundles that will be available. Let's just get all the hardware stuff out of the way. Or do they focus on games up front that are going to be available for Xbox One and satisfy everybody who's not going to get a Scorpio or won't be able to afford a Scorpio, and then just kind of turn the corner and make Scorpio the last half of the press conference. I'm very curious to see how they're going to let that play out.
Yeah, you were actually read my mind, because I was just going to ask the same thing. Do you think they're going to lead with Scorpio? I think personally, if I wanted to do this, I would probably do it first, just to kind of get it out of the way, just show it all off. And I think they may even done that with the S, maybe when that was going to come out, or was rumored to be coming out. I can't remember exactly last year if they did that or not, but I think it'd be kind of smart.
So for me, I would actually do it the other way, because I think once all of the Scorpio news is live blogged, like nobody's going to pay attention to or talk about anything else that happens the rest of the conference. So I would actually, even though, like I said, my own personal focus is Scorpio, I would play it the other way. I would play it the other way, because the big question for me is going to be, do I get a Scorpio at the end of the year, beginning of 2018, or do I invest in a hardware upgrade for one of my gaming PCs? And so it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to go on Scorpio, what it looks like, and what games are going to be released that are cross-buy, and whether or not my 4K SLI rig, whether or not there's really any need to upgrade that for those games, or if I can let that sit pat and go with Scorpio. So I would actually, quite honestly, I would lead with any games that are going to come out for the Xbox One. And in fact, I might even do them twice. Like I think it's fine to do Forza Horizon 7, is it, or whatever that's coming out.
Yeah, that's 7.
I think it's fine to do Forza Horizon 7 and kind of whet everyone's palate and show what it's going to do on Xbox One, and then cover it again. And in fact, what I might actually do is I might do anything that's going to happen with Xbox One S, and there should be something, right? I really think Microsoft should have something for everyone coming out this holiday season, and not treat anyone like, if you're not buying Scorpio, you're a second-class citizen to us, right? So they should do something with Xbox One S. I think bumping storage capacities on the One S and one SKU would be a nice give. And I know I love the Xbox One for the ability to just attach USB storage to it, and attach to it whatever you want. I think I have like a 3 terabyte hard drive attached to my Xbox One.
Yeah, me too.
But, at the end of the day, nothing, people feel inherent value based on the size of the hard drive that's in the box. So bumping each of them, bumping 1S to 3 terabytes maybe, and bumping the 1S to 2 terabytes as the baseline SKU, I think would just make people buying those SKUs, feel fine and not feel chastised for not buying Scorpio, right? Make something cheap and inexpensive for the kids going off to college, that kind of thing. So I would actually talk about Xbox One and 1S first, and then do my games, with any individual titles, and then turn to exclusives. Let me take that back. I guess I would do any one-offs and single game titles, coming from third-party studios. Then do my third-party studio big games. So if they're going to have Call of Duty on stage with them, if they're going to have anything from Bethesda on stage with them, I would do those third. And then the fourth thing is I would do exclusives, or even if they're third-party, anything that is going to be on both Xbox One, 1S, and Scorpio, and I would use that point to bleed into Scorpio with games up front, right? So the pivot for me would be Forza Horizon 7, given what we know so far, and I would show the game on Xbox One, 1S, and let that settle, right? Give a pause, and then say, and here's what it looks like on Scorpio, and then do games on Scorpio, and then take a big breath, and then do the big reveal. Do the big reveal starting with just show us the hardware, right? Do the hardware, make it kind of Apple-esque. Do the hardware, talk about any remaining specs and features that haven't been revealed. Talk about SKUs, how it's going to be packaged, and then price.
Yeah, I was actually. Oh, go ahead.
And I think my big thing is whatever they're going to say for Scorpio, make it the whole story. Don't give half of it and make us wait till Gamescom or Tokyo, game show, or some. I hate to say it, some show that's going to go on not on U.S. soil, right? Microsoft is a U.S. company. They lead with an America first retail and product strategy, right? Their second big stomping ground is Europe, and they've basically got nothing in Asia. So it's a U.S. show. It's a U.S. company. Give us everything about Scorpio, including price. Let us just spend the remaining half of the year thinking about how good it's going to be, not occupied, worried by remaining information that's yet to be revealed. Sorry, I know that was long.
No, sorry. No, I guess it's kind of weird because a lot of the reasons you were given is why I would think they would want to do it first, only because I guess I don't want to have it seem kind of redundant. Like, okay, they're showing it for the S and the one, the regular one, or whatever you want to call it, the original one. They're showing Forza and maybe what's the other one? Shadow of War, Middle Earth Shadow of War. I know that's supposed to be Scorpio, upped graphically and all that kind of stuff. But showing those kind of games first, and then says Xbox One S, Xbox One, and then Xbox, and there's like a question mark or something. And it's to me that'd be kind of goofy. I mean, I could see where you're coming from though, but I just don't want it to become redundant. Like they're showing these and we all probably know like which games are probably going to come up to the Scorpio, like State of Decay 2 is probably going to come out. It's probably going to be better, I should say. I mean, I guess all these games will be better, but they probably want to showcase it more on the Scorpio instead of kind of doing it twice. I don't know. I guess that's just kind of my logic going into it. They just want to be redundant and kind of stumbling over themselves.
Right. Well, and I shifted that a little bit, right? Like I would do it. I would have that be the middle part that bridges between the Xbox One 1S discussion over to Scorpio. And I don't know exactly how they would do it, but I guess what I was saying was if you have, I don't know what the Scorpio launch lineup is, right? But let's say it's 5 games on Scorpio. I would just line up those 5 games and cover them, right, in terms of whatever you're going to say about them other than graphics, and then at the end go, okay, and here's how these games look like on Scorpio, right? Just cover the graphics and whatever the deltas are going to be. Here's Shadow of War running on Scorpio at 4K at 60 frames per second, right? And let everybody clap and whoop and all that, and then do Forza. But I guess my concern is I feel like if you take games that are going to run on both 1S, and Scorpio, and you only talk about them in context of Scorpio, that's the kind of thing that I feel like will make people who aren't on Scorpio feel like second-class citizens, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm only saying this based on what Microsoft has said their strategy is, right? And I apologize if this offends anyone, but when Xbox One comes out, right, and Destiny comes out on Xbox One and Xbox 360, and they talk about the game on the stage, right, running on Xbox One, and then they end with the kind of wilty punctuation mark of, this game will also be coming to Xbox 360. At that point, and I just use this term for effect, right? At that point you're a second-class citizen, right? You know that they've skipped a generation. You've elected to remain on the last version of the platform, and you know that you're getting something that is decidedly a quality step, a capability step below what they're putting out, right, as the primary target. So that's okay. But Microsoft themselves have said that is specifically what they don't want to have happen between Xbox One and Scorpio, right? That it should just feel like you're running a box with an upgraded graphics card, right? But you're all supposed to feel like you're all part of the same community, right? Like, I don't feel bad if I'm gaming with somebody who's running a GeForce GTX 1080 and I'm running a 1070. I don't feel like a second-class citizen, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're going for, too. So, I don't know. Whatever they're going to do, I feel like they have to do something to sync up with their own strategy statement. I don't know specifically how to do that. It's tough. I probably wouldn't have made that strategy statement in the first place. I would have probably just said, Scorpio's a half generation step, right? It's not a full generation step, but it's decidedly you're on a different track than Xbox One. But they chose to not do that, so now they've got to do something in their presentation that doesn't make people feel that way.
Yeah, I think they're kind of damned if they do and they're damned if they don't, whichever way they do go, unfortunately. And I think that's kind of I don't know. This might be something we might have to talk about later on, just because I can talk about this stuff the whole day. But and not just Microsoft, Sony too. Like this mid-gap hardware release, is it really something they should have done, or is it really working out for everybody? I guess we'll have to see later on for Microsoft, obviously, but I definitely want to talk about that more in the future. And then one last thing for Microsoft, please, Crackdown 3, please, something about Crackdown 3. There's been some tidbits here and there, mostly like Twitter things, so I'm assuming it's probably going to be at the show this year. I know they totally skipped last year's show. It was at Gamescom, I believe. They showed a little bit of it last year. So hopefully this year they got full blown. I'm going to assume that's probably one of the big Scorpio or whatever it's called games that they'll show off. So, and that's supposed to have like destructible. I don't know if the whole thing is going to be Destructible City, but at least parts of it or something like that. So, anything else for Microsoft you want to see or you've heard about?
Nope, just like I said, hardware, right? Just show me the hardware, show me the price, and show me the mixed reality headsets, which I know are coming and are going to be compatible with Xbox Scorpio and Windows 10. So you buy the headset kit once, and you can use them on either platform.
Yeah,
at a low to reasonable price.
that's the key phrase there. One other thing too, I was going to ask you about. They never really said what the hard drive is going to be, right? Is it SSD or is it hybrid? I know they had that hybrid drive in one of their SKUs at one point. Do you think they'd even go that far? Because obviously that's going to up the price too.
I don't think they said. So hard drive prices are weird, right? If you stay at 1 terabyte, and this might be why the SKUs have been configured the way they are, and maybe it was a long-term strategy. I tend to be doubtful that people think that strategically far ahead, right? So if, and I just went through this, right? So actually tonight I am broadcasting from my Lenovo Y50, which now has a 2 terabyte drive in it, because probably less than 12 months ago, I upgraded to a 1 terabyte SSD, but unfortunately I proceeded to fill that drive up. So I needed to go to 2 terabytes. I was like, well, I stepped up to SSD for performance and game loads. I'd like to say SSD. The problem is at 1 terabyte, you can find deals on SSDs that keep those prices competitive with spinning drives. You break 1 terabyte and proceed to 2, now you've got an order of magnitude cost differential that is not attractive. So for the price it would cost me to step up to a 2 terabyte SSD at the time, now this is about a month or two ago, it wasn't cost prohibitive. It was just way more than I wanted to spend for an incremental storage upgrade, right? So if they stick to 1 terabyte, I don't feel like throwing an SSD in there should make any difference to their bottom line. But if they're going to increase the storage size on the SKU, and I kind of feel like deploying Scorpio with the premium, characteristics and parameters that they discuss it with, like with the big Mongo mega graphics card, and all these crazy whiz-bang things it can do, and then selling it with a wimpy behind 1 terabyte drive just feels janky, right? So I feel like that thing should ship with a hard drive that is definitively bigger, or at least almost at parity with whatever they're going to do with the baseline SKUs, right? So they either keep the baselines at 1 terabyte and sell Scorpio with 2, or if they do increase those to 2 and 3 terabytes, that they sell Scorpio with a 2 terabyte SSD. So yeah, I mean that's just where I am on it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know they've always said that this console's for the hardcore gamer. So, I mean, you would think they'd throw an SSD in there at least, or at the very most, or at the very least, give them lots of hard drive space, I guess. I mean, that's the least they could do.
I do one of two things: either give me the SSD for the speed, or like you said, put a big hard drive in it, right? Because since the very beginning, 1 terabyte was insufficient given the size of Xbox One games, which I think.
Yeah. Actually, half a terabyte that started with was 500.
Right.
Yeah.
Either because of the types of games that I play on Xbox One, and I don't think that those are noticeably different, but I will say I have historically chewed through Xbox One storage space faster than PlayStation storage space, so I just feel that Xbox One games are on average larger.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump over to Sony, and Sony has their conference on Monday, June 12th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And let's go some of the games that we'll see there most likely for sure are Gran Turismo Sport, one of Zeus's favorites. I'm sure he's looking forward to. The Last of Us 2, and Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, which is kind of I guess is it like a side story for Uncharted 3, or is it like a totally separate story? Well, I know it's a separate story, but is it like something totally different?
It is separate, but it's one of the major problems they're having with this, because people feel like it's DLC, and it is, but I think the retail price on the game is going to be $40, and people feel like it should be less because they feel like they feel like it's something less than a full game, but. Okay. But duration and lengthwise, it is basically a full game. It's very close to being a full game. It's as long as a Max Payne game, right? So charging $39.99 for it shouldn't be that big a deal to people.
Okay, and then doesn't star Nathan Drake, right? That's one of the other supporting characters.
I believe so. That's my understanding.
Okay. So those are the 3 or 4, actually 4, I guess, or 3 that we know of for sure that they're probably going to show. Some other ones that they might show, I know they had a teaser for Spider-Man last year, and that was going to be a console exclusive for Sony. We got, well, obviously Destiny 2 actually would be another one that they're going to probably have on their stage along with Call of Duty World War II from, I can't remember the studios now. I forgot which one's going to do it this year. Sledgehammer, I believe. They're going to do that one. Kingdom Hearts 3, maybe they might show up there. They haven't really shown or really talked about it too much lately. We got Detroit Become Human, and that was from I can't remember the game now that they had made before. I don't know. I can't think of it right now, but that's another game I have to think about. I have to look it up real quick. Death Stranding, maybe. I mean, that's still pretty early. I would think that's the Kojima game. That's his first game since breaking from Konami. So we'll see. We'll probably see a little bit more of that, I'm sure.
Yeah, if we see anything, I expect that it will be just as cryptic and undefined, and it's not going to tell us anything. I think he recently showed up at like the Oscars or something like that, at like an after party.
Really?
Got interviewed and was talking about basically how I think he was asked where they were in game development, and he basically said we're perfecting like how the tablecloths look like in the Italian restaurant or something like that. Standard, like, complete obfuscation, maybe not deliberate, but like complete focus on some detail that's irrelevant to anybody, that doesn't really elicit to us anymore what the game's about. And I don't expect. My guess is that we won't get any more serious insight at E3. I think that game is probably 2 years out. Maybe 2020.
Yeah, maybe just like another CG trailer or something like they've been doing. Quantum Dream, that's the makers of Detroit Become Human, and they did, if I can see here, Beyond Two Souls was one of their, I think that was their last game they just did. And I believe that's kind of more of an not an adventure, like kind of like adventure, like point and click type of game, I believe, if I understand correctly.
A little like what was the big game on? Was it on PlayStation 3? But like Falling Rain or whatever.
Oh, Heavy Rain. Yeah.
Yeah.
So gorgeous to look at, but not. I know for me, not really like gameplay excitement or anything like that. No offense. I mean, I'm sure it was not a good game and everything, but
yeah.
And then other than that, God of War. I'm sure we'll probably see some more of that. That's probably one I'd really be interested in, just because it looked like totally different from the previous God of War games.
It's interesting going back to what was the one we were just talking about? I don't want to click my mouth because my microphone's really loud. By Quantic Dream, what was the one?
Oh, Detroit Become Human.
Yes, so it's very interesting. So in these last few years where we have gotten like game graphic design has gotten so good that it's very developers are and the tools that they have are very capable of rendering likenesses of people from the real world. And there's been the whole thing of like was the girl in the girl in Last of Us that she looks like I can't remember what her name is right now, but the girl who plays Juno.
Right, yeah, I was just thinking.
Kitty.
Ellen Page.
Ellen Page, that got them into trouble. And it's very surprising to me how much the girl in Detroit Become Human, to me, at first glance, looks a lot like Jennifer Lawrence. So when you look very closely, she doesn't. But when that image first pops up on a page, I mean, that's what I mean. I was like, oh, J-Law. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And also, other things that studio has done is Omicron, the Nomad Soul. I don't know if anybody played that. It actually was a game on Dreamcast. Fahrenheit, Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, like you mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Ellen Page was actually in Beyond Two Souls, wasn't she? Or that was another one that looked like her, at least.
I think that was the controversy. I'd have to go back and look, but I think her likeness was licensed for one game, and then, like I said, Last of Us. I think a lot of people thought that cut a little too close, or she definitely thought that cut a little bit too close to her image. So I think she was licensed legally for one game, and then had issues with another studio that used a likeness that she felt appeared very close to her.
Yeah. Well, it happens. They change a little bit here and there, and it's fine. And then
So for me, the big things I'll be interested to see here are Gran Turismo Sport. I don't know that I'll grasp it from the press conference, but I just want to understand better what it is and really what we'll be getting. I readily admit, highly likely that I will buy it because I tend to buy a lot of racing games, and racing games, for whatever reason, show well on my YouTube channel. All population of cars and tracks and goofy game modes. It'll be a decent addition to my racing collection. It's not like I need Gran Turismo Sport to occupy my entire racing time for the bottom quarter of calendar year 17. It's just great to get to my soul what Polyphony is able to get away with. And while Sony closes other studios because their games underperform, Polyphony is allowed to release 2 games a decade, right? Be treated like royalty, including the release of Gran Turismo 6, which released on the PlayStation 3 a month after the PlayStation 4 released, and was basically ignored by everyone. So I'm curious to find out, what the, forgive the term if it religiously offends anyone, but what Sony's God Studio has coming for us this fall, and whether or not it's worth our time of day. And I'm very curious to see Last of Us 2, just because that's Naughty Dog, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Wow. So 2 major, if you call Lost Legacy games, studios grown to crank out 2 major theatrical releases per year, and that's pretty incredible. But I'm most interested just to see what Naughty Dog has done with the tech and the artistry in The Last of Us 2, whether I actually play that game or not. I'm sure it's going to set a new bar for the industry, so I'm curious to see that.
You played the first one? The original one?
I have the first one. I did not play it on PS3. I waited and stayed out of it. I wound up getting it on PlayStation 4, the remaster, I think because it was actually free 1 month under PlayStation Plus.
Oh, okay.
But I acknowledge from a technology standpoint and an industry standpoint what that first game did for the gaming industry. So I'm curious to see what happens with 2.
Yeah, and that is Naughty Dog for sure. So interesting. Yeah, for me, like I said, I want to see what God of War is, what it is basically, and what kind of gameplay you're gonna do in it. Is it just obviously it doesn't look like it's like a hack and slash game like it used to be, so it'll be interesting to see. And then Spider-Man 2, if they show any more of that, just because I've always liked the Spider-Man games, or at least the main kind of open world ones. I know there's been some that were kind of more contained, but this one hopefully should be pretty good. So any other Sony stuff that you want to talk about? No. Let's see. I think that was pretty much it. Like I said, Shenmue 3. I mean, they kind of announced that a year or 2 ago, so maybe they show a little bit of that, but who knows how far along that is too. So, all right. So let's jump over to our good friends at Nintendo. So far, really not a whole lot that they've announced, other than they're just going to have their Nintendo Spotlight, which is kind of like their direct, the digital video that they'll show, as far as we know so far, and that is going to be on June 13th at 9 a.m. Pacific. And then so far, all they've said is they're going to talk more about Mario Odyssey. So we'll see that. I'm sure they'll talk more about ARMS and Splatoon, even though they just did have a direct about that. So we'll see how much more they give, any more details they give on those 2 games. And that, like I said, that's really about it. All they announced for their digital show. So hopefully we get. I mean, I know Mario is their big flagship series, and but hopefully we'll have more announcements for the coming fall and maybe even summer games. So I think the latest game is Splatoon 2 in June, I believe.
June or July. Yep.
June, July, yeah.
Do you think we will see or hear anything about a Smash Brothers for Switch?
I would think so. I think we will get either, whether it's a remaster of the Wii U version like they did with Mario Kart, or a totally brand new one. I'm trying to remember, when did the one on the Wii U release? I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was either. Let's see. So I have it on the 3DS.
And I know that one came second, right? The 3DS version. I think that one came.
They released like basically at the same time. I think technically the release on the 3DS version was like a little bit later, but was in the same year. Actually, I'll look it up. The 3DS one may have released sooner because I remember it was challenged hardware wise.
Yeah.
So, but and I'll check and see. It's probably definitely is 2 years. It may be 3 years.
Yeah, I'm trying to look right now, but not finding it. But yeah, I would think they'd have probably something like that. Excuse me. At least, like I said, at least a remaster. I don't know if they'll have a full-blown game yet. Just kind of surprised they did that with Mario Kart, but since that was so not too long ago that came out on the Wii U, but I'm sure they'll probably have some 3DS games also thrown in there just to satisfy that group since they've got a whole lot. But I think they just had a Fire Emblem game come out, I believe, or it's going to come out this week. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, not a whole lot from them. I'm sure they'll have.
So
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm sure they're gonna have maybe more like color announcements for like the Joy-Cons and stuff like that. So they've already have like the neon yellow, I think, that they just released or going to release. So.
Right. So I was correct. So Super Smash Brothers for 3DS and Wii U was 3 years ago. It was 2014. And I was also correct that the 3DS version actually came out first. In North America, the 3DS version dropped in early October of 2014, and was followed up on the Wii U in November, just before Thanksgiving, actually, in 2014. And did the Wii U launch in 2014?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
So yeah, I think the issue was that the 3DS was obviously out and on the market. I want to say Super Smash Brothers was maybe a launch title for Wii U. I'm going to check that while you're talking.
Okay. Yeah. And then the only other thing I've seen is, and I think I mentioned this last week, or maybe during the news segment, is a Mario and Raven Rabbids crossover game. So not really too much detail on what that might be. Some people are speculating it's like an RPG of some sort. So maybe it'd be like a Paper Mario type of thing or something. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
And I was wrong about the Wii U launch date. That was actually it had been on the market for 2 years, so it came out in November of 2012.
12. Oh, okay. And that's, like I said, that's pretty much it for Nintendo. Anything you want to see them announce? Any old game titles that you want to have come back that we haven't seen for a while?
I want to hear at least 50% of what the online service is going to be and pricing on it. Then that's a manufacturer that I'm fine if they talk about the rest of that story and round it out at Tokyo Game Show, on their home turf. That would kind of make sense. But I want at least an inkling of what it is and what it's going to cost. I also want to know. I want it to be announced that there will be a virtual console on Switch and when. And again, then they can just tell me that you're going to do it and tell me when it's going to be launching in North America, and then you can cover the remaining details at Tokyo Game Show. But I just want that question answered, right? Because everybody's flipping out because they don't know what to do about old games. They're building emulators, they're buying Raspberry Pis, right? And all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, calm down. There's going to be a virtual console on the Switch. We just need Nintendo to announce it. I think they just need to announce it. I think it should be Reggie who announces that for the North American contingent. I think they should state that they're going to have it, when it's going to be, and also to quell all this cruft about what's going to happen with these classic retro consoles, right? So everybody's still flipped out over the classic Nintendo. Rather than have people sitting on pins and needles, believing or hoping or holding out for a Super Nintendo classic, again, which they can do, and I think that speaks to a certain part of the market. But I don't want to buy a $100 retro console to play a bunch of old games. I would rather just be able to play those old games on my new console, because there's one of those that I will say that I need to have. There's one of those that I don't, right? And I already struggle enough to figure out how to spend time allocated across all the modern current consoles that I have. I don't really have room in my life for a thing that only plays old games. Just put it on the same platform where I can also play my new games and announce it so that we can get rid of the consumer uncertainty.
Yeah, I would think they want to just kind of focus on Switch coming up, but I mean, you never know with them. Maybe they can, if there is an SNES Classic or whatever they're going to call it, or whatever the machine might be, which is speculated now for the last month or so. Maybe they can save that for like Tokyo Game Show or something, just kind of well past, all the big excitement of E3. So we'll see. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's not a whole lot that I would want to. I was never a big like Metroid guy. I never really even got into Metroid. Was it Prime? The like the first person. I think I played a little bit of it, but if they announce that, that's cool. Zelda, obviously, they've had. There's plenty of Zelda stuff out now, so who knows what else they can they have up their sleeves and will throw at us. Hopefully, there'll be some surprises though. So we'll see. So I think, unless there's anything else from you, Zeus, if you have any other Nintendo stuff. Let's jump into what we've been playing this past week. And let me jump in real quick first. Played my normal Rocket League, which I just found out that there's like a hockey mode game in there, which is, I don't know how I missed that before. I just wasn't reading the descriptions, I guess. But basically, you get an arena just like in the soccer, but instead of a big giant ball, you got a big hockey puck. So it's actually kind of cool, just because the physics of the hockey puck is a little bit different than the ball, so it doesn't bounce around as much as a ball would, a soccer ball or basketball, like in the other mode. So it's kind of cool. So I was playing a little bit of that. I played Phantom Dust, which they released for free on the Xbox One, and that's a Play Anywhere title, so you can actually get that on the PC and the Xbox One. So I played a little bit of that. I don't know. I thought it was like a remaster, but it's almost like it's just like a backwards compatible game almost, because the graphics don't really look all that great. Zeus, I don't know if you saw that or if you got a chance to play it, or did you ever play the original one?
I did. The original was on original Xbox, right?
Yes, the original Xbox. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, it's kind of weird. It popped up in momentarily. Let me also talk about like the emails you get as an Xbox Live member. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's how they look at Windows 10, but it really frustrates me that they come in, they have pictures, and they have like a little bumper sticker that doesn't tell you what the picture is, right? That one for Phantom Dust said nothing about what the title of the game was. It just had a little bumper sticker that said like one of the best games ever released on original Xbox, now available in backwards compatibility. And I'm like, what the heck game is like? So I have to click the link. It brought me to a site that said it was Phantom Dust. Didn't tell me anything about the game. I had to go to Metacritic and enter Phantom Dust, right? So I'm just a little frustrated with those emails. So no, for this to have been like the most famous or best game ever released on the OG Xbox, like I have no idea what that game is.
Yeah, and I never had the original Xbox, so it's totally new to me. So I was just like, oh yeah, I'll try it. I know they're trying to bring it back at one point when the Xbox One first released, and that fell apart. Studio, I guess, just wasn't up to snuff to recreate the game or make it new or sequel. So, and this one is it's kind of like what we were talking about, I think, last week with Mortal Kombat, where the cutscenes are just not really that good looking. It's kind of the same thing. It's just they look like they were back in the OG Xbox, but then when you go into the gameplay, it looks pretty decent. I mean, it's not, super great, but, it's manageable. So, and from what I read, I guess it's supposed to be like a almost like a card game type of game, like mixed in with like an action game. From what I played though so far, it just seems like a regular like third-person action game. I'm just kind of shooting these things, but I'm like at the very early stages of this game, so I haven't got too much into it. I played maybe 20, 30 minutes maybe. The first like part, oh man, I don't even know, like 10, maybe even 15 minutes is just kind of a cutscene. So you're just kind of just watching it, which is fine. I mean, it's interesting, just kind of the world that they're building. But I was just kind of surprised on just how long that is. I don't know if that was always, maybe games were just like that back in the day, but I was just kind of surprised at how long it was. But yeah, so far it seems pretty cool. I'll have to hopefully, I don't get like the card game kind of aspect, so I'll be interested to see how that plays into it. Maybe it's just like power-ups and stuff. So I was playing that, and it looks like you were playing something a little bit more recent than Phantom Dust.
Yeah, so probably my first game in the shoot last week was Prey, which I played on the PlayStation 4. And again, I was a player of the original Prey in 2006. Just to cover it again, that game had a long kind of nightmare development history. And usually when games are like that, they switched engines at one point. The IP was kind of all foiled up, I think. But they eventually got the game out. And usually when a game goes that route, it turns out very badly. But this game, 2006 Prey, actually wound up being really good. And I was hoping, I would have loved to have played a sequel, and then I heard that they were just going to completely dispense with the old storyline, and they were going to go with something completely new. And I've had trepidation about that the whole time. So the game dropped last week in wide distribution. It was actually available like a week and a half ago on a Friday to meet when the game shipped internationally. It was available over digital distribution here, but the official release date I think was on Tuesday of last week. So I grabbed it, played it on PlayStation 4. It's neat. It's interesting. It feels like a lot of different things. It feels like System Shock 2. It feels a little bit like some of the Aliens games in terms of it's kind of slow, and you kind of take your time walking around because you inevitably feel that there's always a jump scare waiting around the corner. It feels a little like Half-Life and Half-Life 2 because you start off and your first weapon is a wrench. So I kind of felt like Crowbar Gordon Freeman. But then the other thing is you have a suit, and that's kind of what you identify with. Again, feels kind of Gordon Freeman-like. And you show up at work and go essentially into what is basically the equivalent of a test chamber. And a lot of the lines of a lot of the NPCs, again, feels like the scientists at the Black Mesa research facility. So it feels kind of like an amalgamation of a lot of kind of story ideas. I haven't really hit a point where I feel like the game has broken out and characterized itself as its own thing. And I also haven't gotten enough weapons to where I also feel like the game breaks out with its own identity and feels like a really great first-person shooter. I have made my first couple skill advancements, and again, it kind of feels a little System Shock 2-ish. Maybe a little kind of Borderlands-ish as well. So it's interesting. It hasn't gripped me like a game I must play and must finish. It's on my PS4 now. It kind of just feels like another thing that's in my backlog. I don't feel like I'm itching to get back to it, but it's good. It's interesting. The first real weapon I got was the goo gun, which kind of surprised me. It feels a little like the chemical goo gun from Unreal Tournament, which I also played some. I forgot to have that on my list. Unreal Tournament 3, but generally the Unreal Tournament franchise, they have that goo gun. So yeah, so that's what I've been playing.
How long did you play Prey for?
I played about the first hour and 15 minutes. So admittedly, I feel like I'm on the point where the game's really about to break out. So I need to give it like that second or third hour.
Yeah.
But I'm going to talk about this a little as we talk through what we've played, because there's another game that I played, and that in conjunction with Prey, I kind of the game designs were kind of weird to me because I feel like kind of like in comic books, right? We talk about how if you're going to do a limited series, you only have 6 issues. That first issue, you got to do something with that tells people that they need to come back for the second issue, right? And a lot of writers struggle with that. So we have a lot of big name writers who do a slow burn in the first issue, and if they're a big name, that's okay. They can get away with that. But if they're not, you kind of question it because you're like, you're not well known enough to convince me to come back for issue number 2. These 2 games that I played feel kind of the same way. It's like it's a slow burn going into it, and I'm like, with all the things that are out now, like, what's telling me to come back immediately for like the second, third, or fourth hour, right? Or can I just shelve this in my backlog and come back to it even later? So what about you, man? What do you got next in your playlist?
So actually, I dipped back into my backlog and actually finished Walking Dead Season 1. And I finished, well, I had to skip episode 4 because I got stuck on it. I tried a few times that you can kind of skip back and kind of replay certain the different episodes, different sections. I tried doing that like at least 10 or, a dozen times, 10 or 12 times, and it just wasn't working. So I finally just skipped it. I think I was near the end of that episode. So I went over to episode 5, which is the last episode in that season, and played through that, finished that. Finally, it's been a long time since I've been playing The Walking Dead Season 1, so finally got to finish it. Yeah, it was really good story. Obviously, there's more story and not really gameplay so much, but tugs on your heartstrings a little bit those last couple episodes. But it was good. I really enjoyed it. I have the Season 2. I didn't start that one yet, but I'll jump into that one eventually. Take a little break and go into other things. So from zombies to robot dinosaurs, is that your another game you played this past weekend?
Yeah, so I finally started Horizon Zero Dawn, which is an older game. Also played that on the PlayStation 4. Oh, I mean, older in that it came out the end of February, so it's been out for 3 months now. I know DBQ has played a larger chunk of it than I have. Graphically amazing, great, just great technical achievement from Guerrilla, who I think those are also the developers behind the Killzone series. The biggest problem I had with the Killzone series was its limited FOV. Killzone 2, I think, on the PlayStation 3 just bugged me because I always felt like there was stuff going on just out of my field of view. And I actually had a buddy who played it at the time, and it actually made him kind of queasy. So I like Killzone 2. I really like Horizon Zero Dawn. I think between the 2 games, Horizon Zero Dawn and Prey, that there's more potential in Zero Dawn to kind of grab me and hook my action game itch. And same thing with that, though. I played through about the first hour and a half of it, and I just got to the point where the main character is a young adult. And really has the minimum skill sets to venture out into the world and really start taking on bigger threats. So it is an hour to hour and a half, like, lengthy cutscene / tutorial, and that really, I don't want to say it grated on me, but like the whole time I was just like, do the time jump, do the time jump. You're going to do the time jump, just do the time jump. And they actually do it kind of mid-action sequence, which was pretty cool. But man, like, it was, I just wanted to get through it. I almost, if they do a Zero Dawn 2, they definitely need to give you an option to skip that. But 90% of what I played in that first hour and a half, I could have watched that on YouTube and been equally satisfied and just picked my initial skill set and had the game start where I ended off. But graphically, it's really amazing, and it's a good bit of storytelling. I think I want to have a conversation on this show at some point about the difference between having a good story / plot / setup versus storytelling, because I think those are 2 different things. But I had a pretty good time. But if I have any itch to get back into either of those 2, I would definitely say I'm more interested to get back into Zero Dawn than I am into Prey.
Nice.
So you next thing in your playlist is something that's kind of akin, I think. You don't really know whether or not Zero Dawn is on another planet or just in past Earth history, but you're definitely playing something that has an antiquated feel to it as well, right?
Yeah, so I'll go through the last 2 real quick just because the one I didn't even get to play. So after I finished The Walking Dead, I was trying to go back through my backlog of games still. So I tried to jump in Dragon Age Inquisition, and it wouldn't start. So I got through like the initial loading screen. I got through, well, I should say not the loading screen, but the initial kind of just, BioWare and all this other kind of crap. Got to load my save, and it was just kind of sitting there loading, and then screen switched. It looked like I was going to start, but it just went to like another black screen with the kind of loading symbol on the side. And that's
so this was on Xbox One?
Yeah, I'm sorry. These are all Xbox One. And it just got stuck there. I tried a couple times, and I was just like, you know what? I don't want to even mess with this. I don't know what's going on. So,
and you said you had played it before, right? So it choked on your game save?
Yeah, it choked on my load when I was trying to load up my save. So I don't know. And I probably had a good maybe 10 hours into the game. So at least. So I got a good ways in there. But yeah, I don't know why I just wouldn't load the game all of a sudden now. I don't.
Yeah, I wonder. This is part of the thing with the Xbox One, right? You really don't have any visibility into what it's doing with storage management. So I wonder if you could delete the game, and if it would keep your game save, and if you could reinstall it, and see if it would pick up then.
Yeah, I think it saves it to the cloud automatically, so I should be all right with the save. And I might even just have to like restart my system. I don't think I've done that in a while, so I just didn't feel like doing it that night. But so from one fantasy game to another, I went to Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, next on my list of games. I'll go back to Dragon Age eventually, but I just I kind of had that itch to play some fantasy type of game, something new, because obviously I still have Skyrim. I can always jump back to that anytime. But so I jumped back into Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Actually, and I thought I was going to have problems with the controls and stuff, but I picked it up pretty quick, and I haven't played that game in I think it was like almost a year when I was looking at the time of the save, my last save. So that loaded up real quick. But I'm kind of caught in this like in between mission right now. So it tells me I should be a level 5, but I'm only a level like 4, actually half of 4.5. So I have to do some grinding, I suppose, and kind of get up to my next like major story mission that I need to get to. So I'll do a little bit of that. That'll help to trying to get back into the game, because there's you have hand-to-hand combat, and then you have magic and all kinds of stuff. So it's a pretty involved game too. I probably shouldn't have waited as long as I have in between play sessions. You got all kind of crafting, which I know you're a big fan of, Zeux. So I'll have to go back and just kind of relearn that kind of stuff. So it shouldn't be too bad. So I'll get more into that game. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. That is a very beautiful game, by the way. I don't know if you ever played it. The graphics are great in that game. So I definitely had a lot of fun.
I have, and I do have it for PC at least. And kind of another one of those things where, and it's not a slow burn. It definitely gets actiony off the bat, but it's. Yeah. I feel like that initial round of combat where you don't have skills is really clunky. And I didn't have a warm fuzzy that I was really kind of like doing it right. I felt like there's got to be something more to this. But I have heard from people that it is kind of a slow burn, and even longer in duration, right? That it kind of takes 3 hours or so to really get to a point where you really feel comfortable and good playing the game and understanding where it's going from an action mechanic standpoint.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised actually. One thing, there are these like huge like griffin type animal creatures that you fight, and you actually find one fairly early on, and I was kind of surprised by that. And I don't even think I died the first time maybe once when I first initially fought one. So I was like, whoa, okay, cool. So, and that was kind of after the initial, obviously, like you said, that kind of tutorial, kind of getting used to the game. But I thought it would be way down the line, kind of like when you were playing Skyrim with the dragons. But it came fairly quick, so I was surprised. So that was it for me. I just Witcher 3, and I'll play more of that this coming week. Maybe try to jump back into Phantom Dust. So looks like you have a PC beta maybe that you played.
Yeah, so I'll mention really quick because we are about 4 minutes over now, so I'll hurry up and try and drive to closing this out. So I played a little Destiny on the PlayStation 4.
Whoa. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
So I played a little Destiny on the PlayStation 4 Saturday night with, it's kind of interesting. We've had a lot of dialogue, and I've talked a lot about how Destiny has this weird dynamic where you feel an immediate sense of camaraderie when you find another Guardian kind of randomly on a planet. Often when they're of similar level, but sometimes when they're not. And, for all the years that I spent not being a level 40, you would periodically run into high level 30s and level 40s who would just join up with you on a strike or something, like, not even in it, but just would kind of run along with you. No, that was cool, and it was unspoken, and it just kind of naturally evolved out of the community of that game. So in a similar interesting dynamic, I have a couple of friends who we used to write at the same website together, and we, two of us left the site. One of them still writes for the site, but we really haven't gamed together in probably a year and a half. And we all got together Saturday night, and it was like old times. So, one of the guys reached out on Facebook and said, "Hey, the Destiny 2 announcements are giving me this itch to go back and play Destiny multiplayer." So we ran that, and we had a good time. But final thing, and we talk about games that are giving me an itch to get back and play. I got into the LawBreakers closed beta this weekend. This is the game from Boss Key Studios, which is run by Cliff Blazinski and his partner at the studio. This is an experience for me, right? Because I had the opportunity to go down there early in 2016 to a press day and actually cover the game in basically a press conference essentially that they had, and play an alpha build of the game locally in the studio with some other online personalities and journalists. Met Jeff Kanata there.
Nice.
But yeah, it was pretty cool. It was an eye-opening day. I got to interview Cliff and met Jeff Kanata, so it was kind of a big deal. And I've been on the mailing list, and I've been getting invites to the closed beta since then, but I just haven't had time to get back and check the game out. I finally did this weekend. It was an amazing experience. I played it on PC. When I saw this alpha build of the game over a year ago, and toured the studio, one of the questions I asked was kind of to get a feel of where they were in development, because they're kind of doing this alternative development timeline where the game is being played for a very long period of time, almost in a Minecraft-like fashion, but it's an arena-based shooter, which is unusual, and they haven't really committed, at least as far as I have seen or can remember, to a release date, but people are going to be continuously playing the game. And one of the questions I asked was how hardware optimization was going and whether or not it was SLI enabled, and when they expected that to happen. They had not optimized for hardware yet. And of course, the GeForce GTX lines, I don't think had released yet, at least not to commercial. But I think they had prototype cards, maybe, that they were developing on. But the game is SLI enabled now. And I played it at 1080p because I was recording it. The next time I need to try and play it at 4K. But I was impressed that it was SLI enabled, because there are games that have been released for 2 and 3 years, right, that are high-end graphical games that are still not SLI enabled. Project Cars, Assetto Corsa, high-end racing games, and these guys have knocked it out early as part of their baseline development line. But it's awesome. It's a great game. There's a lot of zero-G, light-G effects. I loved the maps, and they've got a ton of different game modes. So it was just awesome, and I'm really looking forward to that game. I can easily see, at a time in my life where I don't have that Xbox 360 effect of when we kind of used to all get home, immediately log into our Xbox 360s, order pizza, and play with our friends until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning on a Friday night. I can see playing this game for months on end, every Friday night after I get home from work. Granted, I've got to wait a little longer till I can log on, put the kids to sleep, spend time with the wife, that kind of thing. But the game has that kind of feel to it. They have increased the number of classes available. They have increased the I don't quite want to say customization, but you have a lot of different options to configure your character and make some choices. They have something that is not quite like a perk system, so I don't feel, it doesn't feel like Modern Warfare where if I'm a working adult and I can only play 4 hours a week, I'm at a disadvantage against some 12-year-old who can play 32 hours a week. But that individual will be able to customize the look of their character more, and they get things like stomp decals, and things like that. So in skins, right? So you can recognize players in the game who have put in more time. but they're not inherently at a gameplay mechanic advantage with things like persistent perks. So it's had a really great time. Really looking forward to that game. It plays great on PC gaming hardware right now, and I can't remember if they're doing multi-platform or if they're only PC. But I can say if there's another big, huge round of shooters out this year, like I don't know why anybody would play anything other than LawBreakers. So I'm interested to see how that game goes. That is it for me. Why don't you take us out, Prime?
Okay, and just real quick, it is coming to actually PS4 also. They actually just announced that last week. Yep, last Monday.
Great. Awesome.
Hopefully Xbox 2 eventually, maybe. We'll see. But that's and one more thing. It was kind of funny that you had mentioned this, that when you're talking about Destiny, about how your friend was kind of saw the announcement of Destiny 2 and wanted to jump back into it. I almost jumped back into Destiny. I even looked at the Taken King DLC, and I was like, I don't want to pay for that right now. So maybe soon I'll buy it and jump back into it. And stop being a baby about Destiny before Destiny 2 comes out. So with that, and don't tell DB. With that, that'll bring us to the end of this episode, episode number 89. If you did enjoy this episode, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends and family. And on behalf of Zeux, you can catch him at gearworks.com along with our podcasts and other links that we'll throw out there. I will bid you good night, and I will see you. Actually, I think Zeus has one more thing to say.
Yes, one more thing. It's up on the website at gearworks.com. You can see that in my lower third. But we've been talking about this for a couple months, but I just want to quickly get out. So we are going to be rebranding and rebooting the podcast. Something other than Band of Gamers. There's a kind of a long history behind that and reasons why. That is an article posted on gearworks.com. But the big thing is we're recruiting. We would like to get at least 2 additional cast members onto the show and into the rotation. There's a lot of detail about what that entails and what it looks like. But if you are interested, if you like talking about games, listen to this podcast, and you kind of maybe sync up with us in our ethos about how we get into the details of it and talk about design and how games make you feel and what space they kind of occupy in your life, while concurrently being the perspective of kind of Joe on the street gamers, right? We're not industry insiders, we're not journalists, we're not media, but we do deep dive into this stuff just for the love of game, right? So if you kind of sync up with that kind of mentality, there's instructions on how to apply on the website. Please go check that out. And please stay tuned and keep track of us as we go through this transition, so you can also start watching the content under the new title. And timeline-wise, the rebranding and reboot is going to go down the week after E3. So the final episodes of the Band of Gamers podcast will be our coverage of E3 as it unfolds and happens during that week in the middle of June. And then once we do the final news show covering E3, that will be the closeout episode for Band of Gamers. So there you go.
Yep,
Prime, I'll give the helm back to you to carry us out.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good that you had mentioned that. I read the article. It's very good. And yeah, it'd be good to get some new blood in here, just to get some different opinions and stuff. I think we're all pretty good with we all have PCs and PS4s and Nintendo and stuff, but still there's always different opinions on stuff. So it's good to hear about those things. So on behalf of Zeus and myself, Osiris Prime, we'll see you guys Thursday for our newscast, and hopefully see you then. See you later.